Yes, started.
Okay, we'll call May 14th Highway Committee order at 8:22. Roll call. We have everyone present. Approval of minutes from the April 9th.
I'll make that motion.
Made.
Second.
Second. Any corrections or additions? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Public comment, does anything?
No public comment.
For me, staff reports.
Turn it over to Brent to let you know what the field staff are doing currently, so.
Okay, currently we have started a bunch of our projects, our pulverized and repaved projects. We have pulverized County Road G. That's up by 170 and N. We have pulverized, S 170 and N. Pulverized G from 25 to D, out past Jake's. And then we have also, they are pulverizing at the moment down on County Road Y by the old galley shop. And we have culverts installed in all those jobs already. We have all the culverts installed out on County Road J from the city limits out to the Ball Diamond Road, which is 410. And we're currently putting rock on there just in a section. If some of you are familiar with, the corner between Quillings and Wold there, right in that corner. From that corner of Wold's, all the way to the Ball Diamond Road, we are putting rock on 3 inches thick. And then we'll pulverize that when they are done pulverizing County Road D out by Irvington. So they're doing Y today, then they got to move in and do their project on D, then we'll move them back to J. So those projects are moving. We are grading on County Road S. So getting that all graded for paving. We are gonna pave next week on County Road S. And then we also are spray patching yet, crack filling on our jobs. We also have started our PGR spraying in the right of way for the weeds, and we are only doing half the county this year. And then we will be doing some spraying on some of the state stuff too. We have some town work that we are doing periodically. We've done some sweeping, so we have completed all our sweeping, all our reclaiming, which we are talking about that. We need to add more rock to our shoulders instead of try to pull up what we don't have. So sometimes some roads look decent, some roads don't look very good after we're done with it, and we gotta take a look at that and try to put some money into putting more rock down on the state and the county.
On Highway G, out by Jake's, where you going, I get that bridge like wider, is that going to do any different when you're pulverizing?
On the,
You're going west there, that little,
Lamb's
what
Creek.
was like Lamb Creek coming?
when we go to that, yes, we are gonna widen that.
Yeah, once it's widened, it'll.
But you've already you're going to paverize it or pulverize it, right?
Not right now, not that part of G.
Okay,
We
not
did
that part.
G from 25 to D. That's closer to Wheeler.
Okay.
Yep, that part of G. I think that's pretty much what we're doing right now. Any questions?
Is that, well, that's probably for him, but is that probably moving along by Jackson?
I'll get to that
Okay.
under later in the report.
That's all I have on that.
Okay, well, I guess I'll start with mine here. The guy's been really busy in the shop, like Brent had said, we're doing so many things, different things. The new Craftwell machine, I talked to Chris yesterday and it's really working good, which is good. The road patchers are working good, we had to do some work on them, but starting out, you know, but they're really getting, they must be getting a fair one. Cause they're, you know, they're both running, you know, so we got that hopefully going good. Yesterday was the first day that we really got the spray trucks out. And, you know, they were working okay. I just got a phone call on 34s. We can increase again. So that's not good. Anyway, the guys have really been busy in the shop. We've gotten all the equipment out of downtown, you know, from the winter storage and going through all that stuff. It takes time. And then now they're working on the paving equipment, had the paver in the shop and sort of stuff all up and working on rollers right now, getting those sort of stuff. So it's all ready to go for Monday if Brent pulls the trigger. Today I've got some of the guys go down to Universal down in Walesville. They've got their big old house down there. So it's kind of nice for the guys to see the new equipment, look at it, you know, and get some of the ideas and stuff from that.
Let's get the ideas.
Yeah, yeah. We're the plow trucks, the ones with the wedge tanks in them. We just went and got the last one. We've got 3 of the tanks out already and cleaning out inside the box and so we're getting taken care of that. Our auction finished there. Pretty well, I think.
Like it.
You know, yeah, everything's been picked up and is going. So we've got 2 of our trucks on Universal being qualified and put on. I was down there a couple of weeks ago and looked it over and went with them on mounting pedestal and stuff like that on the body. So one of them should be really getting close to me. The other one's supposed to come in right behind. So at least those 2 trucks will be available for next week.
So how long does it take to get a truck over you to go once it gets down there? Is it like a month job or a 2-week job or?
They figure about 350 at working hours to do it. But the biggest thing is getting them from sitting outside and getting them in the shop. Right now, we still have 2 sitting in a flare. And I think the estimate was kind of the summer of 26 before we would get them in at Universal over a year to get them in to put the equipment. So that doesn't happen a lot. So we're gonna have to make some decisions on those 2 trucks, you know, what we're gonna do.
Well, it's not good to have it sitting outside for a year.
No, you know, and
So we
Yes.
own those trucks then, right? They're just sitting outside.
you know, we've got a lot of high dollar trucks sitting outside because we don't have any storage. It's terrible. A $350,000 truck and then it sits outside. But that's not even there. So that's the situation with the trucks. I went through and did a count on the plow blades that we used last year. And it was a lot more than I had anticipated. Which is, it's gonna be expensive. We used 96 of the Yoma blades. It takes 3 per truck, you know, every time you change them. Some of those we did sell to the townships and I split them up. We only used 30 shoves. And shoves, you know, what we put on the underbodies. And those are expensive too. But that just kind of shows that we're not using the underbody as much as what we have in the past with using the rubber blades. The estimate that I took, if we order everything to replenish what we used, on last year's prices, it's going to be around $100,000, which is a lot. I think the year before was around 40 something, you know, when we really didn't have a lot of snow.
Right.
But a lot of those too, that year, probably some of the trucks might have been needing blades. So when they first started this year, we had to put them on right away.
Right, yeah.
You know, so it's hard to really, you know.
Yeah.
Pencil it all out. But just so you're aware of it, that's gonna be coming. And it's nice to get them ordered now, so we get them, you know.
Right.
That's generally, this is now the time that we usually put the order together.
So when you got all these, like blades, what about, you guys make a trip over to Alton someplace or?
We've got a dumpster out back here from Catingers.
And you pay it in?
Yeah, they come and pick it up,
Okay.
empty it and bring it, or they bring another one. And then we get paid for it, yeah,
Okay, that's-
you know, and he's in Dunn County and just trying to.
Yeah.
Use the vendors from around here. So that's what we do with it. It's recycled.
So you're saying putting the rubber blades on the front,
Mhm.
they cut a lot better, so they help us not have to just get it.
And Dustin and I we've discussed it a lot, you know, because we could save probably 25,000 a truck if we didn't put underbodies. So that's a lot of money. You know, and there are really a lot of maintenance costs on them. You know, they take quite a beating, and it seems like we always
Extra weight.
low hydraulic hoses.
You got extra weight.
You got extra weights you're hauling around. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know,
Taking off and putting on, 'cause you take those off too, right?
no,
Or don't you?
no, we only did that. We did one last year and put a pusher axle underneath it and used it for hauling. We thought we'd try it, you know, to see how it goes. The guys didn't like it very well because it's got a shorter wheelbase than the other trucks, so it's a little choppy. You know,
The fuel tank's smaller.
and the fuel tank's too small.
They
Fuel tank's,
fill up
yeah,
a lot more.
yeah. Yeah, the fuel tank is 70 gallon and it's not enough to run a whole day. On fuel, you know, when we're hauling.
Yeah.
Where usually the quads and the triaxles, you know. So, yeah, that's a big pump to make with the fuel. And we can't, if we didn't have the underbodies, we could put the bigger fuel tank on too. Because the thing of it is that underbody, when you stow it,
Yeah.
it goes right underneath the fuel tank. You know, we have to raise them up as it is. But if that fuel, you know, if that underbody wasn't underneath there, then you could put the 100-gallon tank.
And you be able to haul it.
So that's an option out there too, it's possible. So, yeah, other than that, I guess we're rocking and rolling working on the roads and stuff. We've got all the equipment and trucks rolling. Just been busy getting everything going, so. That's about all I got, I guess, unless you guys, are there any questions at all? Anything?
Any way of, like, putting more weight on your front plow, so you wouldn't have to go with the underbelly?
I don't know.
Or doesn't that
I
really-
mean, that's possible, I guess, but I don't know if it's really necessary. They cut really well. It's night and day. So. I personally. Personally get rid of the underbodies. They don't get a lot less maintenance costs. And a lot of fun.
It'd be nice to see how much they actually use them or how much they really do want them on there. Do they use them that much or?
Probably on the interstate, I suppose they want.
I mean, I'm sure there's some outside who use them a lot, places maybe they don't.
Yeah, and Dan and I have discussed this over and over again, and we'd be looking at trying to probably have those installed on the 4-lane highways.
Yeah.
The secondary state roads, we're looking at trying to do away with these underbodies due to the sheer cost.
Yeah.
Half of our crew doesn't mind it, and the other half, says they need it. But it comes down to the cost, and I guess I'll lead into that with those next two chassis that we have sitting over in Eau Claire. So we compiled the cost of these two trucks that we built internally, truck 210 and 211, and I have it in our packet. So the costs for us to complete these trucks actually increased a lot more than we anticipated. So we have approximately $380,000 invested in these trucks. To put it in comparison, if we were to have these trucks fabricated outside, we'd probably be looking at 340, 350, that same truck. Obviously our staff are not, we don't do this on a daily basis. So we can expect extra hours to take to fabricate these. As you can see, Dan mentioned 350 hours is what typically takes. First truck, it took almost 700 hours. Well, yeah, double that. Oh, it's going to take a lot more. Yep. And then the second truck actually went down to 560. So we became more efficient with it. That doesn't increase the additional, just say $40,000, $50,000 So obviously buying the equipment, they are getting their fair share of cost into that as well, just buying the equipment from
They're
them.
making some.
Obviously, they would prefer them to do it
Right.
instead of us.
Right.
So like I said, Dan and I, last month, we did look at, fabricating these next two trucks. We put that on hold. Dan and I want to discuss a little bit more and see where we can cut costs. Because if you took the actual cost of the purchasing the materials, that truck, if we put it together, would be over 400,000 based on the equipment cost. I don't think we can recoup that with our hourly rate. So the depreciation, be a very large number that we would have to make up. So like I said, we put it on hold currently just so we can see if we're gonna try to continue doing this in-house or if we're gonna wait and let somebody else fabricate these. We are looking at, trying to replace our interstate trucks, not our interstate, one interstate truck and then our 4-lane 29 truck, which has those live bottom boxes that has a conveyor in it that you don't ever have to raise the box. Those trucks are what, 2018s or 19s, somewhere in that range. So they still have a lot of useful life, but we would get extended life if they weren't out on the interstate on a daily basis, running 24 hours a day sometimes in the winter months. So we did get quotes on that to have somebody fabricate those trucks with that same live bottom system. We're looking at probably $270,000 or $370,000 just to have somebody fabricate those trucks. So it would be cheaper to even go down that path than in-house. So like I said, we're evaluating it. We're weighing out every option. Can we remove underbodies? The brine system alone is expensive as well. You got about $25,000 just in the brine system. So if we could remove the underbody and the brine system on it, we save $50,000 possibly. So,
The brine system saves us time or saves us money on it.
Well,
It's always stuff.
the thing is, we have to evaluate it because like Dan and I have discussed, we do get compensated for the brine system. But at the end of the day, we're reducing the salt and we are doing environmental impacts by reducing the environmental impacts. But it's coming on the cost of the county. So we are spending the money, we're getting reimbursed by the state. Are we making that money up on that brine system? That's where we have to kind of weigh our options. Yes, it's great. We are reducing the salt. We all pay taxes to the state, so yes, we are reducing the amount of quantity that the state would be purchasing. But like I said, currently it's on the expense of the county to purchase this equipment. So
Okay, so it's not savings on salt, it's not on our end, it's on the state payment. State's getting them. Okay. Which cost it. And they reimburse us, but they reimburse us on the gallons. It's all right. Like the interstate truck, we can only get 500 gallons, which is that's where they've got it at. We got 0 to 500, and then we got 501 to 1,000.
And that's why we put the wedge tanks to the other one, so we get over
Yeah.
that 1,000.
Yeah, they're gonna put it in their truck.
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah. You know, so. It's,
Well, one of the reasons that we did the trucks in shop, in-house, was time, right? So we get them out and get them operating because we needed them, right?
Yep.
So. Anyway, I get looking into the future and stuff like that, but, you know, did these trucks? Yep, they cost a little bit more. Okay, probably not the business we want to continue to do every single unit, but you know, in the situation we're in, I felt like that's kind of where we're at, that we need to get these on the road. Did we save, what I'm getting at, did we save money because we had better equipment on the road that didn't break down, that would have cost us $40,000-$50,000? I don't know. You know, I guess nobody knows that answer, but I guess I just made a comment for justification for what we've done, so.
I was thinking the same thing, to be honest with you, but for me, I just need to see them sit for a year, because that's hard on, especially on all the emissions grant and stuff and these things. And
I guess the other thing is, I mean, it keeps the shop busier. I mean, they're not dedicated to those things all the time either, are they? I mean, obviously, it costs more.
We try to.
I know, but it still costs more when you're not dedicated to,
Yeah.
like, down at Universal, that's all they're gonna do all day. And they know what they're gonna do, where cars are gonna get pulled off once in a while, blah, blah, blah.
And our staff does separate their time.
Yeah, I know.
So if they go to this piece of equipment, they allocate their time. But yeah,
Dedication is still different than.
But it's kind of hard to separate it when you're in a project, boom, you
Oh, I-
gotta switch over.
Yeah.
But the question when we had our, talk about like the future, what did you gain from the, county board? I mean, talking to people about the new shop and that, I mean, is there anything that you really, it seemed like it went over pretty good. From what I've heard, but it's a long ways from being final, but you got anything at all?
I guess I have not had any feedback.
I just think it's nice to have mechanics having something that, I mean, they have the time to do it.
And they think they like it and they enjoy it. I mean, it's new.
That's worth something too.
Well,
And knowing the equipment better and doing it themselves too, I think is worth something.
Yeah.
I'm not saying 40,000, but I'm just saying it's worth something to.
You would think, well, when it comes time to fix those, they kind of
Yes.
can get right to it, oh, I put this together, I can fix it.
Yeah, and like I said, Dan and I are discussing, is there ways we can reduce our costs?
No, I know, and that's what
Mhm.
I still think it's
No,
worth
that's
it,
good.
even if it costs us some more money. That's what I'm trying to say. I think that's just.
Yeah, and I guess I kind of look at it different, than what the counting, whatever, of the cost of the trucks, because those two mechanics, that's in our budget
Either way,
either way, so really, we're not spending money.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because we've already got them.
Yeah. We're not hiring more mechanics to do this job.
No, we're not hiring out, we're not spending money, over that. I did check into equipment, and equipment's about 6 months out. So if we did decide to build these two trucks, it would be possible to probably get them going if we were to put them now for next month. It wouldn't be right away, but I mean, in July, August, September, October, you get the equipment moving, but we probably haven't done January-ish, which you still get a little use of it, not a lot.
Yeah, and if we outsource it, it won't be in there till July.
Yeah.
So then
July
you'll
of
have
next year.
Right.
So,
One of these chassis has been sitting on the ground for about 6 months already. Yeah. So pretty close to it.
So how many trucks do you try to order every year? I mean,
So we have approximately 40 plow trucks.
Yep.
So with a 10-year lifespan, theoretically, we try to get at least 3 or 4 a year.
Okay.
Try to keep that in that ballpark. That's obviously, if we have the money to do it. So what we've ordered for next year is 3 chassis.
but you have to look so far ahead now. Everything takes so long to get.
Well, I think, yeah, sure, the first, the second cuts quite a bit, but everyone that they do is gonna cut a little bit more time.
Yeah, oh, I agree.
I mean, they may not get down to 350 hours, but.
And I really truly do believe we could cut a lot of our time if we did not put underbody on. And that takes up a lot of the time just to mount that and get all the hydraulics ran and hydraulics.
And I still, I know you guys already said this, but I couldn't agree more. I still look at the labor cost and I'm thinking, well, they're getting paid anyway. It's not like,
As long as something else isn't sacrificing.
yeah,
I mean, everything else is getting fixed. Yeah. And that underbody, can we try that on a couple on the ones? I mean, whether it's the guys that are like, yep, I don't need an underbody. Try this.
I would say on the next 3 that are coming, these 2 here, if we do, build them for the interstate and 29, then we put.
Put the plastics on.
Yeah,
Sure.
But maybe the next 3, that's what I'm saying, that are coming for next year, for 2026. Those If you wanna go to something different, triaxles or anything, you know. It's the same truck, you just have to stretch it. On the frame is cheap. So it's just the decisions.
And then you have to bigger fuel tank, you get your fuel tank.
So you're saying,
If you don't have the underbody, you can get the big fuel.
so you're saying going with, potentially going with triaxles and then not having an underbody, having a bigger tank, maybe somewhere you
Well, you could,
allows off.
well, yeah, you know, like the other ones that we do with the triaxles, I mean, you have to push it already on. You know, so basically you take the ball and the sander off and the ring and you'll start hauling.
How much longer is it?
Then the tandem,
Yeah.
tandem's got a 16.6 box on them and the triaxle 17. So 1 foot.
And as far as it, I mean, it's not that much of a turning radius or.
Not, you know, yeah, it really is. Wheelbase is probably 4.
Sure.
So you're gonna have some.
I mean, you guys don't really. Is there any complaints with that? Like, oh, they're harder to get around.
I don't really hear that much. We've got a lot. Well, basically, they're all on the county. You know, we don't hear a lot of it, except, you know, we have the township up north and then the village Downing. Village Downing is just what needs a pickup truck. I mean, everything is just
I was just gonna say that.
really, really tough for the guys. So that's not good either, you know, and it's hard to have a truck just designated for that. And even the one up north is kind of a single axle.
Yeah.
But then you'd like to use it on, you double duty it. I mean,
Yeah.
even that truck sit in the shop all last summer. We really can't afford that. So we've discussed that too, you know, Dustin and I really hasn't been made a decision yet. So, there's a lot of different ways you can go. So, yeah, otherwise, I guess. Any more questions there? We do have the last 2 trucks that they built are here today, if you did one. We took the wedge tanks out of them and getting them ready for summer use. And they are on state routes. So we should get some use out of them, get some revenue coming in for the summer. Which is nice. And the guys really love them. Which they should be in these trucks. Yeah. Any other questions?
Oh, good to cross.
Well, we'll get back to work. Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. Guys have a good day, and if you want to come out after the meeting, you're more than welcome.
Those trucks are sitting,
They're just sitting right, one is the shop, in the shop, we just drove it out, but they're right by the fuel. Right in the storage building. Yeah, drove them in that brand new storage building.
The well-lit one.
Yeah.
Temperature control.
Well, I'll continue on with my report, so I'll just go into the engineering project updates. So, County Road D, the Irvington Hill project from 420th K. That project is obviously started. They've done a lot of clearing, grubbing, shoulder widening, culverts, slope work. It sounds like, according to Brent, they're gonna bring in their pulverizer to start pulverizing the road. They have not touched the actual steep hill portion of that quite yet. They're kind of on top of the hill going towards K. So I'm thinking they want to let that be the last thing they do. Just so they don't have to fight that hill every time it rains. So,
how far does that just go to K, right?
yep, just to K. It'll go just through the intersection, like maybe 50 feet.
Sure.
In each direction.
A lot of ditches already seeded down and everything.
Yeah, that had a 70-day contract, 70 working days.
Are they gonna cut that hill down very much at all then or not?
The actual roadway, no.
Going down?
No,
Roadway
no,
stay
just be the,
same?
just be the slopes, cut back. Yeah.
Okay.
Along the edge of the road. Yep. So, like I said, that's going well. The County Road D and D project, that's the project that we were, looking at completing this summer. We are struggling with real estate. I will openly admit that, we have a number of parcels. There's 3 or 4. We have started the process of appraisals on 2 of the parcels. hopefully those will be done here at the end of the month is what we're hoping. And then if the landowners, agree or disagree, we may have to start the process of condemnation after that.
So is
That's
this
the last thing we want to do.
Is this actually taking some land?
This is, one particular is an easement, and
Just
then
an
the other
easement?
one is actual,
Taking some-
title
Okay, that's what I was.
interest.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, okay.
But you're talking a couple feet, 5 feet?
One of them is about 5 or 6 feet, and then the other one is, it's where all the storm sewer is going to
Drainage
be
comes in.
discharged.
Yeah.
So it's a bigger strip. I mean, it's like maybe 3/10 of an acre, but it's not a large strip.
Yeah.
So I guess just to forewarn you, if we have to start the process of condemnation, this project will not take place this year. I just, like I said, want to be open and honest about it. We're trying to do everything we can. If at the end of the month, we don't get things moving on it here, I'm gonna probably shut the project down for the year. With that being said, we are going to still continue on the portion of County Road G, which is from what we call the Jakes Bridge South, the double B and G where Steyer's Farm is there. So that portion, all the real estate has been completed. So we can at least do that portion. We are looking at the possibility of maybe doing some of it on D. We can maybe start putting the culverts in or something like that, where we have the real estate acquired. But like I said, it's unfortunate. Hopefully we can get the appraisal done here maybe in May, at the end of May, and everybody signs on the dotted line and we can continue the project, but,
It's only a few $1,000.
yes.
It's just.
I think, total,
Rich on it.
I think total, we would be looking at probably $5,000. With both interests. Like I said, it's,
Are they wanting more, or they just don't want to give it up, or what's the situation?
both. So, yeah, I'll be honest, both.
Okay.
But, like I said, we're still in a holding pattern and
You think they don't want to move the road?
New road, but better drainage.
I can't believe anybody that drive down that road and not want to place for the road in front of your place. Yeah, it's just crazy.
yeah, so like I said, we're continuing work, but here, if things don't go well, then obviously the project can't take place. It's, we obviously have to have the discharge for that storm sewer, on the, off of the existing right of way, so we would need to purchase that. That's the entire holdup, fortunately, so. Brent obviously mentioned pulverizing is taking place on a number of our county, pulverized and repaved roads, looking at paving those, starting the paving process next week. We did mention our County Road J project has started south of town, so we're looking at trying to get that, wrapped up here. Probably the end of this week, early next, to get the pulverizer in and start grinding that as well. The County Road V Flayton Creek Bridge project, that actually was bid yesterday, through the state. We do not see those results until, what is it, 3 days later? So I don't know what that came in at, unfortunately, but hopefully it came in under budget. And that project is 100% funded by the state, so. It's kind of a late bid, but, we'll probably see that project take place later this fall. Brittany and I did start the structures under 20, the 6 to 20 foot, structures under 20 inspections. So we started that, I think we have about approximately 70 some structures that we got to inspect, 13 of them done. So we're making headway. So yeah, we just got to get that stuff, figured out by the end of the year here. So we got time.
So when you do the blacktopping, does it all come from exit 45 out there for all the county roads?
Not all the time, but this particular summer, a lot of our projects are right around the nominees, so it makes sense to come out of here. But we do go to Eau Claire, which is on exit or on State Highway 85 and 37.
Okay.
We do that, and we also take out into Richmond periodically. So depending on where we are
Yep.
in the county. And then last but not least, the open engineering tech position, we did fill that position. So the individual starts here May 27th, which is what, 2 weeks from now, roughly. So this position will assist with in the engineering side of things. We're looking at trying to do a lot of stuff in-house. We want to get some design work started here. The individual, Brittany has background in it, as well as the individual has a lot of design experience. Currently works with MnDOT. And previous to that, had some internships with WISDOT. So has a lot of good experience that would be a huge asset for us.
So when you're doing these road projects, how many interns did you hire? I mean, for flagging, that kind of stuff, because we always got some younger
So
people out there.
we budgeted for 4 individuals. This year, we've been able to fill 3 out of the 4.
Gary might be available.
As long as you're 18 years old or older.
Part-time job.
And you got your two-way radio back and forth.
Yeah, you can
that's
talk,
not
you
too cool.
can just talk away out there.
There we go. We got one in open position yet, so Brent's working on that to try to fill that last one.
If you done with planting and stuff by then, you'll have some summertime, won't you?
I wish.
Oh, you have to resign from the board according
Or
to
be an employee of the county.
conflict of interest, I
Well,
guess.
you won't be able
He
to
can
take that
just
donate this time, couldn't he?
I'm all for it. He wants to donate.
It's mostly doing it now.
And then the Cedar Falls Bridge, on Double B, just wanted to give you an update on that. So there isn't really a whole lot of change or information known at this time on possible funding, if the bridge can be replaced, when that's gonna be replaced, we have no idea. The STP bridge program through the state does start this year. So sometime this summer, they put a list of all the bridges that qualify for replacement or rehabilitation. So we will know more information on that if this bridge can actually qualify for a replacement. It has to get to a certain state before it can be considered replaceable.
So is that 80% that's paid by the state or federal government, or is that just?
Yes, so
Depends on-
typically the program is an 80-20 split,
Okay.
but it is capped. So it's capped at $6 million. So if I had to guess, this bridge is gonna be awfully close to that, if not more. So to replace
What about the one up on, you're talking about the one on?
Cedar Falls Bridge.
Yeah, what about the one that I break up by?
So that's in the program right now for, we're currently in the design.
What's that?
The one on
By
by,
Elk Point.
Elk Point, we
Just
call
north
it
of Elk Point.
the High Bridge,
Hybrid.
where Hay River comes into the Tanner Lake.
Yeah.
So it's a really small one, that's the reason for the hybrid.
Yeah, and
You'd
that,
know if you drove across it, it's right before you go to Tanner Machine.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's a 2-span bridge, and that's estimated at about 3.2 million to replace that.
So I've been watching that every time we go under there, pontoon and whatever. You can see it's
Really pretty good. Yeah, so like I said, the design phase is currently started on that. The big issue on the Cedar Falls Bridge right now is we're exploring it is due to the 20-ton weight restriction on it. The actual snooper truck that the state has to provide the services to inspect this bridge technically can't even be on this bridge. It weighs more than 20 tons. So the consultant that does our inspections is looking at alternative solutions. So this bridge needs to be inspected yearly. Previous to the weight restriction, it still had to be inspected yearly. But it was always done with a snooper truck. It took about a day to do it. It had a set cost. Well, now the costs could be more expensive. Just to inspect this bridge. We don't know what it's going to be. We're Worst case scenario is the inspector would have to rappel off of the edge of the deck. Once you start doing that process, it gets costly. So we are looking at it. We have been talking with consultants that have other pieces of equipment to see if they have a lighter piece of equipment that can be put on it. I won't go into details, but like I said, we are looking at other means and methods to inspect this bridge, which I just wanted you to be aware could be more costly than our traditional costs that we see for this inspection process.
Can't get a one-day permit from the London.
No, unfortunately, no. Yeah,
And sign down for the, if you want.
and there is talks that they may try to do a calculation to see that exact truck, if it could be put on the deck.
Well, can you,
But at the end of the day, I know the state gets pretty, resilient, or they don't want to really.
here's the thing, when you do a rating, that has to be rated for at least 2 vehicles on there, right? Passing at a time.
So how it's rated is it's one single vehicle. So a max gross vehicle weight for a certain size vehicle. That doesn't mean you could have a quad axle dump truck and 10 cars on it. It only rates it on that quad axle. Cars don't mean anything on a bridge. It's heavy equipment.
So,
that's-
I mean,
that's all they
you
rate
could have,
for.
you could have a 40,000 pound dump truck going this way and one going that way, meet right in the middle. And that's fine. So it seems logical to think that you could shut the bridge down, put this truck on per day.
We have discussed that. At the end of the day, the DOT is like, we're not putting our neck out on the line and get on the news if something happens. That was their kind of, what they were hinting to, let's just say that. So
Yeah, what does that truck weigh?
I don't even know exactly what it is.
Cause wasn't that the reason why that one bridge up in the cities went down? Cause they had too much stuff on there, not really traffic.
I don't know the details of that. and like
And
I
it
said,
seemed like that was a problem.
Stuff going on there.
Yeah. The closet collapsed.
But like I said, just wanted to give you an update on that. Like I said, more information to come on if this bridge or when this bridge could get replaced.
So the sewers is gonna get replaced is 5 years plus.
If it got put in the program this year, at a minimum, it takes about 5 to 6 years.
That's, I mean, 5 years plus.
Just a,
So. Continue through my report, FHWA, which is the Federal Highways, has implemented, so type 3 barricades. So your common barricade that has the 3 cross, plastic fluorescent, sheeting on it. Yeah, with a light usually, and it says road closed or whatever on it. So those are type 3 barricades. So FHWA has put together, MASH compliance. So that's, manual on assessing safety equipment. So they've come up with different, requirements for these type 3 barricades. That the state is requiring all barricades in the state of Wisconsin to be compliant by July 31st. Well, the unfortunate thing is our barricades technically don't meet MASH compliance. We have 70 of them. Our current system is we either have wood, legs and vertical supports, with plastic, and then the top panel is usually wood. So we can actually hang a sign on it. Plastic usually doesn't hold up very well. So you can't have wood, it's gotta be all plastic. Verticals, legs, all that have to be either tube steel or plastic. Vertical or 2-inch angle iron, which what we have, majority of them, does not qualify. So an average barricade right now is $350. Obviously, I didn't have it in my budget to replace all this.
So why wouldn't they give you more time? I mean, July isn't very far away at all. I mean,
No.
to make that big change. I don't know why they couldn't have been like, well, like next year, to give you a little time to kind
Well,
of,
it's been a process for about a year now, but they didn't know what implementation they wanted to enforce and all this, and so it was kind of, everybody was dragging their feet. Well, it just obviously got brought up here these last couple months that deadline's July 31st, and you will have it done. There is a contractor who has submitted a MASH compliant request for the 2-inch angle iron that everybody, majority of us have. I've heard through the grapevine that they have been approved, but they don't have it in writing. So if that makes sense. So right now it's on a standstill. I've sent an email to the state saying, okay, so what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to sit and wait? The barricades that we have could be compliant, or what do we do? So,
What do you need?
so we have 70 of them. 10 of them are on an emergency trailer, so we have an emergency situation. We're talking with the state about possibly charging the state for those 10. So that's kind of in the background right now as a discussion. The other ones we're looking at, Brent has said out of the 70, there's a few of them that we need to replace regardless. I mean, they're twisted, they've been hit, to try to fix some of the stuff is actually more beneficial just I mean, the cost of it.
Could you get by with 40 to start with, or do you really need all 7?
I guess that's what we're looking at. As of right now, we were looking at probably starting off with maybe 20, 25, somewhere around there. Just to fix the ones that are damaged. And then kind of wait and see what's gonna happen with these other ones being MASH compliant.
cause you know what happens too, when you get a big rain, you might have 8, 10 different spots on the road that's been flooded. Like it happened all of a sudden, then you gotta have all these out there to keep people safe.
So is there any, is there any purpose for these obsolete ones? Like, can you sell them to contractors and, or to all signages that go up on roads when there's any kind of project going on next to a road always handled only by the county, the state, or municipality? In other words, do private contractors, can they put out signs?
If it's on a public roadway, they have to be MASH compliant.
Gotcha.
Regardless if it's a contractor, county, state entity, town entity, whatever.
So
it
there's-
has to be MASH compliant.
Nobody's gonna buy them.
So even on a town road,
You could put them at the racetrack.
Yeah, you can use it on the racetrack or at the farm, no entrance, whatever.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get much for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't go and sell them to a contractor or the public or whatever. That I would not do. Then we probably are taking the liability if something does happen. So,
but this goes for,
I'm just trying to see if there's a way to recoup some of the costs, like used piece of equipment, we sell it, we turn that back into our fleet cost and, or whatever, maintenance, and I'm seeing if this,
I guess the biggest
I
thing is
didn't think it probably was gonna be doable, but
I'm hopeful the 2-inch angle iron like we have gets approved.
Yeah.
And then we don't have to worry about it, but there might be a few that we have to replace instead.
these would be for the, for town roads too, right? Everything.
Anybody that owns a type 3 barricade that uses it on a public roadway.
Oh.
Since it's mandated, you should give them some money for it.
And I guess I put on the agenda to kind of discuss the highway building addition and renovation, kind of just go through that again. Obviously, there has been some things that have come up recently with other departments or buildings. So I don't know if we want to go into that a little bit, discussion, detail, or what, but I don't know the full details. So
Dan does.
I do.
Yeah.
You know.
So I did send an email to everybody. You've seen it that the solar geothermal project that we had been planning to do this year, we have stopped. The numbers didn't come in a way that we were expecting, and we feel that moving forward was favorable. And if we did move forward, it was going to impact the tax levy. So, so that project has been stopped in this year, but that HVAC system in the judicial center still needs to be replaced. And it's on the facilities committee to decide, but I think it's going to become a higher priority than most other things as it is nearing its end. So with that said, I mean, we're looking at raw numbers, 8 to 9 million to replace the HVAC in the judicial center.
So, but I don't get that in the facilities. Are they just replacing the whole thing, or can they, or just the boilers, or?
I'm always going to give you the biggest number. So,
But they have to do some, companies have to look at it and see what their all
Yeah.
proposals are.
so we've done some initial evaluations of what kind of to expect for those costs, because typically your design costs are a percentage of the overall. So we would be looking to do a design in this year in order to kind of get that real number. At that point with the design, then we could figure out, is there phases, can we a lot of the things that we could get. But that being said, I mean, you're really looking at that and the highway building and how those interact and
How that affects the
and how that affects the taxes. So very early on, but I wanted to kind of put that up there, let you guys know. Facilities hasn't heard this yet. It's on their agenda. Also, we talk about it exactly in today. So, so just so you know, I think that, I mean, ultimately, the short version of that is if you do both, you're gonna likely end up raising taxes, or you're gonna have to delay one or the other.
Yeah, you got 8, 9 million there, 8 million, whatever. I mean, that's gonna be
Half of the
half each.
So, and we can talk about different options as it relates to different priorities, whether it is, all right, let's go do this, let's figure out a way to do the wash bay and the HVAC system or something to that effect. To stop a little bit of the bleeding on the highway end, but also that's the update there.
Well, thanks for the good news, we really appreciate you around here.
I mean, I'll just add to that. I mean, the highway building addition and renovation, I mean, is it a need? Yes. I mean, that has been determined. Is it a necessity? That's where you gotta weigh your options. I mean, we've been here for 40 years. We can continue to be here for 40 years.
Mhm.
I don't want to put a burden on any taxpayers by doing something that's gonna affect their wallet. So.
All right. Thanks for that.
Financials. So in your packets, labeled 6G is our financials through the month of March, April. Right here.
Says right
Yeah.
here.
I was looking at it myself. So we're looking at, currently projecting as a budget surplus. In our report. And then Joy also did print off the CHEMS report, from the beginning of the year up to, May 7th. That shows basically a breakdown of all of our projects, all of our maintenance projects, kind of just lays that out in detail of how much labor, fringe, small tool, equipment, administration, all that costs going into it. So I like showing this because I think this provides a lot of detail of how much is county road as project costing us in detail. So. Any questions on that? And obviously, we're we haven't spent a lot of money on these projects. Once you start paving it, that's where the dollar amount comes into play, where 60 to 70% of your cost is just in the asphalt, so.
Like it. Readable. You know,
As you can see, that D project, from 25 to 8/16, by Jakes and Pioneer, we had allocated, $1.2 million to that project, so. Obviously, worst comes to worst, that project may not take place, this year, we'd be looking at trying to at least
Do a different road.
carry forward or possibly spend that money somewhere else. That's a discussion we'd have to have, but,
Never hear anything on the, just apply for money for D and 20, 72 to O'Galley and K from 72 to, never hear anything on what,
we applied for it, but we didn't get the
oh,
funding.
we didn't get it.
No. Yeah. There's more opportunity to apply. Helps. I can't remember numbers otherwise, but this helps. And just,
oh yeah,
that top one signing for ATV routes, we're not allocating $68,000 signing for ATVs. That's just how it comes in chems. It's signing.
All right, I was very curious.
Why do we have 68,000 ATV roads? I mean,
Yes, I knew that would be one
I mean,
question.
you have to have a couple signs up there.
Well, if they're for ATV routes, the ATV clubs pay for it.
Yeah, right.
I was gonna say, I thought we wrote a check for all that, paid for it.
Yeah, looks good.
So that concludes my portion of the meeting.
Moving on to 7, consideration of actions to got a committee, 7A, highway vouchers. The list.
These are through the month of March. Spend a lot, as you can see. In parts and equipment and heating lights, shop tools.
Do you provide all the tools for the shop guys, or do they have some of their own?
They are required to have their own parts up to, our own tools up to a 1/2 inch. Anything above that is county provided.
Their motion?
I'll second it.
Any questions? Anybody need more time? If not, all in favor?
Right.
If opposed, same sign. Motion passes. 7B, steel tool, oil and application revision.
Yeah, so last month, the committee elected to, award Flint Hills and Farner Asphalt, the oil and application for seal coating, operations. I completely overlooked it, but, we have to purchase oil from a different distributor for our spray patch trucks. Since Flint Hills is over in Minnesota, they do not supply it directly to us, so we would still have to purchase, the SRS2 out of the FOB terminal from Meigs. So that's that $2.40. We see the asterisk by it. So we would have to continue buying the oil for pickup for our spray patch units, since we cannot get it from Flint Hills or Farner Asphalt. So that was the only revision, is basically to award MIGs that, FOB, pickup price, for that oil. We would still have Flint Hills and Farner for the seal coating operations.
Okay.
So I did not clarify that at the last meeting.
So
Yeah, motion on that?
Yeah, make a motion to accept CRS two MIGs bid for oil costs.
Don't second it. I just want to read it for pickup first.
For pickup purposes.
That's for terminal.
Yep, after.
So where do you have to go to pick it up then?
Chippewa.
Oh, Chippewa. Well, that's
Yep.
a lot closer than Minnesota.
Yeah, they won't let us, they do not supply it as a pickup over in their
Huh?
facility.
motion been made second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
All right.
Right.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 7C, LRIP Administration Pilot Program.
So the LRIP program is a local road improvement program that, the state, implements on a 2-year cycle. So this next LRIP cycle will be starting this year for the 26 and 27 years. That makes sense. So all applications, all that stuff process starts this year. So statutorily, what has been implemented is the county highway commissioner oversees the LRIP program, for the towns and municipalities. So if the towns, all the applications the towns want to submit come to me, I review them. I basically submit it to the state. All reimbursements come through me. The previous LRIP cycle, the Towns Association wanted to do a pilot. So they wanted, the whole basically Northwest region to do a pilot, which the state agreed, to do. So we did an LRIP program pilot, in 23 for the 24 and 25 cycles. Once again, they are looking at extending that LRIP pilot. So I have asked a number of towns if they have any issues. We do not have to agree to this LRIP pilot if we do not want to. But I'm looking at it as if the towns don't have an issue with it and they want to continue with the program, I see no reason to deny it. So what I'm looking at, is to extend that, once again as a pilot. And if this is successful, there may be, a possibility that the Towns Association will be taking over the entire state. So all 72 commissioners would not have to oversee this program for towns. I did put in the packet what we receive from the state on an annual basis for overseeing this program. So Dunn County receives about, just under $6,000 a year, to administer the program. I can tell you, it takes up a lot of time. And I don't know if $6,000 covered. When you get a program that's gonna take place this year, there is a lot of turnover with the towns, obviously, so it's always a learning process for a number of individuals, so you have to help them, guide them through the entire process quite a bit.
So you probably spend a lot of your time reteaching everybody the procedures and the whys and the wheres and the hows. And
Yes, and continually teach.
Yeah.
And it's an ongoing battle. But like I said, this benefits the towns, and if the Towns Association wants to take it over and it's a benefit for them, hey, I fully support it 100%. As long as they are getting the service
I have a lot of townships that don't like that, so it's surprising that you didn't hear me, anybody that didn't like it.
and it's funny, it's like
Cause I get the other side.
so
They tell me the opposite, which is kind of.
it became a battle between the Towns Association and the Wisconsin County Highway Association. or we were asking questions, town association didn't like it, yada, yada, yada. We want to ask the question, not you guys. It's not- It
So
just got to
didn't
be
you
a
have to,
burden.
didn't you have to go get 6, 7 different people from around the
Yes.
county? And then they'd meet, and they say, well, yeah, this road we'll do this year, and usually what it came out to be is every other year you got your amount, and that was
Yeah.
that,
Correct.
you know.
And that's continually what has been done. So. But like I said, I have not heard anything bad about it.
Okay.
It all depends on. Yeah. like I said,
I think those townships are insane.
Yeah, I believe there's 22 counties that were in the pilot. I believe there's 20 or 21 that are gonna be reissued. The pilot again.
All right, need a motion?
Make the motion to continue with this agreement.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. County Road B Phase 2 engineering design.
So we submitted proposals for engineering design for the next phase of County Road D, which is basically starting from Painter Town Hall all the way up to the High Bridge up by Painter Lake. So we'd be looking at trying to start that phase or the design process this year and next year, and hopefully design or construct it in 2027. Is the goal. I do anticipate real estate would have to be purchased as well to kind of continue the same kind of design that we're doing by Jake's Pioneer, widening the shoulders, making some safety improvements. So like I said, four firms submitted it. It was not a cost-based proposal. So I just want to be aware of that. We had, the criteria was the firm profile, qualifications, technical approach, and then cost base. As you can see, the percentages that each one took place as like the cost was 30% of the overall criteria and ratings for each firm. So myself, Brittany, and Joy, we reviewed all of the submittals by each firm. We ranked them based on what was submitted, tabulated it all, and the firm that actually came in with the highest rank with 85.42 out of 100 was CBS Squared, as you can see in the right-hand corner. I did want to mention just so if everybody asks, the overall cost range was 110,000 and it ranged up to 191,000. So to do the design for this, CBS Squared was actually second lowest bid. So just so you're aware of that, I had estimated approximately $150,000 to do this design. And the CBS Squared's cost was actually under that, 150,000. So my recommendation would be based on our rankings that were submitted to us, I would select the CBS Squared to perform those pieces of design for this project.
Because that is a fairly flat road. But do we have to do any work on the high bridge? Because there are some pretty steep banks here. Is that part of it, you know?
Possibly. We may have to look at the safety standards on, if you run off the road, there's kind of a buffer of when you can kind of come back on without hitting something.
Okay,
So if we widen the road and that rock is close,
yeah,
we may have to look at maybe curb and gutter and guardrail. Or
okay.
look at cutting those banks back. We don't know. we'll have to get through that process to start that. This particular section of roadway, if we go into detail with our traffic safety plan that was, was in our packet here to review. This particular section of highway was, flagged as one of our higher traffic, incident areas. Obviously the roadways are a little bit narrow, speeds, curves, things that can be improved to help the situation to reduce safety. Incidences would be something that would be incorporated with this design. That was noted in the request. There is a small bridge box culvert that was also included in this to be reviewed and designed as well to be replaced at the same time. Like I said, we had estimated approximately $150,000 to do this work, and it did come under that, based on their submittal.
So what about those roads? Something's gonna get figured out with those, right? They go out to each side, but I bridge there. They're gonna have to get moved or something, okay?
Yeah, and that's in the preliminary stages, or we have no idea. So it's,
There's room, at
There's
least
gonna
there's
be
room
this-
to move them if you can acquire land.
yeah, the big thing is the rock. Anytime you have to excavate rock, you might as well, see the cost skyrocket in price. So yeah, there will be discussion with the town. Obviously, there is exits outside of it in different areas on those roads, so. If I had my way, I would cul-de-sac those roads, it'd be a lot cheaper, but. There's obviously standards for that, so you still may have to have a certain area just for that.
You're still gonna have to remove rock. at that
Correct.
point.
But yeah, that'll all be incorporated with that bridge project, and right now, we're in not even to the 30%.
So we need a motion to accept the company,
I'll make that motion.
accept CBS Works.
I'll second.
Motion made second. Any other discussion on, engineering design? If not, all in favor?
Right.
Any opposed? E. Pickup trucks.
So-
It's a new truck.
In our capital improvement, budget, we had allocated to replace 2, pickup trucks this year. So I went on through the state contract, so the state contract is through Ewald, over by Omni Falls. In the east part of the state, so they have the, state contract for pickup trucks, and we'd be looking at replacing 2 1-tons, well, at a minimum, 1 1-ton that Dan has basically set aside as inoperable. It's a 2012 Ford that's seen its better days, and we need to put it to rest, and not stick any money into it. So one of these trucks would obviously replace that, and then we evaluate another one that's probably right around that same age, 12 or 13, age-wise. As you can see, what I penciled out here was a Chevy Silverado 3500 HD work truck. I want to reiterate, work truck, plain Jane model, vinyl flooring, cloth seats. It does have power windows, doesn't have crank windows, that has cruise control. 4-wheel drive.
Easy though.
Yeah, it's not a fancy one where we have cooling seats and heated seats or any of that. So this is a plain Jane pickup truck. This pricing is only guaranteed to the end of May, and then the 2026 model line comes out, and these costs will all change. the contract with each dealership would have to be renewed by the state as well. So the individual that provided this quote from Ewald, who has, like I said, the Chevy, Ford is no longer taking orders for 2025 models. So I tried to explore that, but they cut it off. They're looking at 26 models and they don't have the costs right now. I'm assuming they're going to be more expensive than what we see here today.
Yeah, I would think so.
Um,
Is this gonna replace any of those other ones? Yeah.
no, we still have 2 Terra Stars that are sitting at the fence that Dan's trying to get at some point in time to look to see if we can fix, salvage, whatever, but
Neither one of these are gonna go replace any of those.
no, we would be replacing the current pickups that are
See, this is,
14 years old.
But this could have. I
so
mean,
this is 2 trucks at this cost,
Yes, 2 trucks at 49,276.
a piece.
So is this something that you can go to guys and say, hey, get these trucks for this price?
Dan's gonna tell you no. Per our ordinance.
You put it up for bid.
We would have to put it out to bid, but it can't just be entities in Dunn County. It's gotta be every. Can't just say Northtown and Kai's, you get the bid.
is that, and this is a state,
This is a state,
so you don't have to go.
do not,
This is all the,
I did put the bid in here, the bid document. I didn't give you all of it to you, because it's probably like 60 pages long. But I just wanted to show you that this is the state contract for,
So when you mentioned the state or ordinance, is that a state ordinance or is it an ordinance by the, that got developed by the county board?
Yep.
And put into place and,
County board ordinance, yes.
I don't know, I guess. I think I know where Dustin was coming from, to speak for him, but my mind is the same as his, as far as we can spend our money in Dunn County, spend our money in Dunn County. But or if there's something that I get the rules. I'm not trying to go against the rules. Okay, can the rules be changed? Or is that not?
Oh, the rules can be changed. There's also 2 GM dealers in Menominee.
What's that?
And like 3 or 4 in the county. So
Yeah,
that's where.
that's what, that, yeah, I'm not just specifically going towards Kai Chevy. or
Yeah.
whatever, but-
So I think
And there's
that's,
Ford and there's Dodge and, yeah.
so I think there's, yes, the rules can 100% be changed. They're written. I don't know why or when,
No,
when they were
I get
written,
that.
but they were likely written to align with something that probably came from the Wisconsin Counties Association, since this is what you do. So there's some overall governing laws that state laws that pretty much say, you can't really pick and choose.
Yeah.
But it's somewhat vague in how that would be done. So we can certainly, and Dustin and I had talked about that. Using the state contracts is the most efficient way for staff to purchase something.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
Right?
Makes my life a lot
You work for a state agency, you're familiar
Yeah.
with that process.
No, I get
But
that.
but it certainly doesn't necessarily always work out the best. So is there a way that we can encourage some of that local work?
And that's where I'm headed. I'm not sitting here proposing everything we should do should only spend our money in within our county or whatever, but or our towns and cities within our county, but I get it, but would be nice to be able to, look at something where maybe even someone from this committee could go to the different dealerships in town and say, hey, here's what the future looks like. 10 years from now, we're looking at purchasing 77 pieces of equipment. Who's going to give us the best bid on?
So, that's what the state contracts are, is some agency or the state went out and did that statewide.
No, yeah,
So we could do something like that where you could do a bid that says, I want you to bid on the plain Jane worker truck. I want a 3-year bid. So what it's gonna cost this year, what it's gonna cost this year, what it's gonna cost this year, we're gonna throw that out.
Yeah.
And, and then you say, and I want you to deliver it to the Dunn County Highway Department free of cost.
Yeah, you can write all the parameters in.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you throw that out there, you get a bid, and now for the next 3 years, anytime you want to buy a truck, that's done.
Exactly.
So,
Okay,
lots of options, and that's an option.
so is this,
In our current.
I guess. Popped in with the conversation there. Are they gonna deliver these? We gotta go get them.
They deliver it to our doorstep.
Me and Dustin could go on a road trip.
Take 3. They have, they have 2 other individuals, just like you in Menominee Falls, that deliver.
All right. Still, we need a motion or we need something. Then we can discuss. We need trucks.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid on the trucks.
I'll say.
Is there discussion?
The bids out and see where they come in, you get it. You know, if the shelters come up, yeah.
Are these on the ground? I see a picture here, but is that at their dealership or?
No, they would have to order it. Most likely order it, or they might have it on the ground. I don't know.
That's what it is. I mean, I realize it's a stock photo, but
Yeah,
that
it is.
that it's gonna come with a dually with a box.
If the picture's wrong, we originally wanted a quote for, dualies.
Yep.
But it's not a dually.
Okay,
So they didn't change the picture. So they gave us a price for a dually, it was about $2,000 more. We went with a single rear.
Single room.
so what's the reason for that?
The big reason is cost, and Dan and I were kind of concerned with, we were gonna make one of these trucks into one of our foreman's trucks, so we got boxes. So I didn't want to tear the box off of a brand new truck and put one of those utility boxes on. So we're just gonna set it up like the last 4 trucks we bought. We just have the boxes, those stainless steel
Above the box.
boxes like that.
And you're afraid the dually is gonna stick out the way, you mean?
Yeah.
So what are these gonna be? Are these gonna be Fulton stuff, a fair amount?
No, I mean, they might pull a skid steer, trailer and a skid steer periodically. They might be utilized for flaggers to go flag. It's
So-
just a wide variety of everything.
So
Well, I'm
why,
not gonna say it's gonna pull a skid steer a fair amount. I would
And it
definitely opt for the.
Yeah. We would have the option to still pull it with these
so if we're not
on
pulling,
a periodic basis.
Mark, go ahead.
if we're not pulling stuff, why do we have to have? Why can't you just, you're running flaggers out of the sites? Why can't that happen with
Have to. So last year we bought,
and I'm not questioning, I'm just
no, I
asking.
just want to explain. So last year we did purchase 2 trucks identical to this.
Yep.
For actually 51,000. A half-ton pickup was 48.
Right,
So I was like, what are we really gaining by going to a half-ton that only can basically doesn't do much? A 3/4, a 1-ton, actually, you can do everything with. So it gives us more options.
Yeah.
For a little bit
of
of
course, I
additional
figured that was the
No,
the reason.
It's the versatility of a 1-ton versus a half.
So maybe I missed it, but I'm assuming this is a gas,
Yes.
which motor is in there?
6.6. Right on the first page, or the second page. We requested the largest, engine.
6.6 gas.
Yeah,
I don't
working
see
at
it.
some work. Actually, it's not even in there.
I don't think
I
it
don't
is.
know why it didn't get. Just didn't get copied,
Um,
printed in there.
I guess I'm gonna go back to. You need these like right now?
So like Dan said, we set one in the graveyard right now.
Right.
And so that would replace one, and then we have another one, like, they're sister trucks.
Right. In other words, you could
2012.
put the rest as soon as you can get your hands on them.
We should.
So
We
I guess
definitely
my,
Could we buy more? Yes, we would need more, but trying to follow our capital improvement, as best I can.
kind of going back to Gary's thing can you get your hands on them? Like, can they have them here next week if we,
The process we went through last time was about a month they were here. I'm not gonna lie, it was very convenient. We ordered it, they delivered it a month later and sent them a check and it was all said and done. So, very simple process,
simple this time of year is a good thing.
but it's right at that deadline, so they're cutting their
So gonna go up
here.
26 really quick.
May 27th is when they're cutting it off for orders.
And I think next year's smells are gonna go up. So
Every year.
Well, we got a motion and a second.
Yeah, no, that's why we're still discussing it.
Yeah.
We still reject the whole thing. Any other discussion? All good, all right, all in favor? Going with the statement? Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 8, considerations of this recommended county board, safe streets for all, highway traffic safety plan. Uh-oh. Not recording.
I'm just trying to pull it up because apparently that email that I sent you guys yesterday, I got the actual final draft of the traffic safety plan real late yesterday. I apologize. I was waiting for it last week Thursday. They were telling me it was gonna come, but I didn't get it till yesterday afternoon. I did send it to you. Obviously, you probably have not had time to even look at it, so it's hard to act on a resolution that you haven't even seen the presenting documentation with it. Dan, you know how to get this on here? Share it.
Yeah, I'll have to do this all until tomorrow after. Yeah,
Under the window.
It happened.
I know, gosh dang, I'm gonna have to have it going out of fun. We gotta get going, so.
My problem was, I came down here, almost here, with my glasses. If I just got, if I walk where these guys were, stuff happens.
It's nice having your key here.
Gary, you gotta slow down,
I know.
you know that?
The 3/4 days like I did. I just work 18 hours a day instead of 24.
Yeah, yeah.
3/4 days.
Oh, everything down the next week. Yeah, everything's up.
Hands are up already, most of them.
I was gonna say, it seems to be
Most of
something.
it's spraying.
I get it
Done,
to
Carmen,
the
all right.
nice slide.
Rest of your-
It's not a slide, it's a
Oh, last year's
it's a PDF.
But
The price came up a little bit after that, with the spring.
This thing is slower and slow right now.
I'm getting to the point, I'm just gonna sell, it'll be. You watch it, it goes up, oh, it's about time to sell, and then it goes back down.
Like you take the darn thing off. There we go. It's somewhat on there.
Roll the wheel.
That's probably why I can't get this thing to print, because it's all over the place. So obviously, just to give you a little background again, just so we're all on the same page, is in 2023, Dunn County, along with St. Croix and Eau Claire counties, were awarded a Safe Streets for All grant to establish a 3 county-wide traffic safety plan. So we put it all together, but we do have individual plans. That makes sense. Not all of us are in the same plan. So this is geared specifically for Dunn County. So what it boils down to is that this is what the consultant prepared for us. So obviously, going through some of this, I won't go into fine detail, but why is this traffic safety action plan needed? So what they did is the consultant took a 5-year average. So in 2019 to 2023, they took crash data of each county, laid it out, and separated it, and kind of shows how many crashes are taking place on the county system, on the town system, on the state system. They did take and exclude the numbers from obviously the interstates, because that we don't have a whole lot of control. Even the states don't have that's usually federal highways. But like I said, they put together this whole plan. It just kind of lays out why it's needed, our crash data, and then what it does is they actually put in the high injury network areas in the county. So they took every road section, every intersection, every segment, every hill, curve, everything, and laid it out in detail. And then they kind of put a top 10 list of roads, segments and curves, and intersections to kind of start planning to try to fix it, improve it, to try to reduce the safety, or increase the safety and reduce the number of crashes and injuries. So I don't know the exact number, but I believe it was 130 some crashes, which were either severe or fatal crashes in Dunn County in those 5 years. So the whole goal of this plan is to reduce that number by 50% by 2040. So that is the ultimate goal for Dunn County, to try to gear towards reducing those crashes by 50% in the next, was that 15 years? And they kind of lay out how we could achieve that with certain roads, doing this, making improvements here. A lot of this is kind of just how Dunn County compares to the statewide averages, the national averages.
Do they kind of separate that out between the 3 counties? Well, St. Croix's got like 25, but we only got 8 or whatever.
Yeah, so this plan is just geared towards Dunn County. So all the numbers, everything in here, like 135 crashes were serious and through those 5-year pattern. And that includes even city streets. That doesn't mean just Dunn County alphabetical roads. As you can see, how we fit in with the population wise between Eau Claire and St. Croix. I mean, we're the little kid next door, in between the big conglomerates beside us. But like I said, I don't know if I want to go into a lot of detail on here. At the end of the day, this gives us a lot of information that we can actually take to apply for funding. So we can apply for federal funding, we can apply for state funding, we can have a basis if County Road E in 1229 is a problematic intersection. We can take this information to the state and say, here we go, this has been analyzed. We need to look at doing something. So like I said, that's what this is geared towards. We did have public involvement, so obviously there was a lot of people that were concerned with speeding, aggressive driving. Well, they're kind of showing remedies on what we could kind of to help fix some of that. This is where the problematic areas were that public input had on the map there. You can kind of see a lot of it was speeding and inattentive driving, and driving under the influence was the biggest concern with a lot of local residents. So yeah, like I said, the biggest thing you can obviously, so there's the injury network area, so a lot of it's around the city. And that's due to traffic volume. So these were kind of the roads they laid out in Dunn County, which were high injury networks. As you can see, when I talked about the County Road G up there, where we're looking at trying to do that second phase of the design. I think it typically doesn't help that we have a road section between 3 bars. So I'm not saying that's a contributing factor, but it probably has some basis of what's going on there. It doesn't help, let's just say that. But I do know there's some side intersections that don't have sight distance due to crops planted, and they're planted within their means. But we can make some improvements there. We can make an improvement at the curve, as simple as maybe just adding chevrons to the curve. I mean that's what this lays out as a simple fix. Could be adding chevrons, which doesn't cost a lot of money. I think some of these costs that they put in here are a little high. But we wanted to keep what kind of the national averages for costs of this stuff. So if you see like chevrons being installed in some of these appendices, it'll be $7,000. But we can probably do it for $1,500 type of thing. But they are taking national average costs.
Well, even just putting in things that have the step signs in certain spots.
Yeah.
Very inexpensive, but definitely helps.
Yep. I do know they, like everybody wants, I would love to do it. Wider roads are safer roads. But it's hard to justify putting in a 40-foot wide road in a rural section of Dunn County that sees 50 cars a day on.
You did it over.
No, I did not. Okay. But yeah, so like I said, this just goes into a lot of detail, a lot of numbers, a lot of really nice photos in here that are actual Dunn County roads.
So is this updated every 4 or 5 years, or?
The goal is to review this every 5 years and kind of show. So we are going to have a virtual map with this as well, that residents can see our 5-year capital improvement plan. They can see
if
what
we
improvements
kind of
we
gone
have
down a little
made.
bit and-
Yes. Yep. Like I said, they give us ways to improve, like strategies and toolkits, kind of give you a set cost, like a roundabout. To install a roundabout at an intersection, you're looking at $1.8 to $2.4 million just to improve an intersection there. We don't have any in Dunn County that I'm aware of that have been put in this particular county to county intersection, let's say.
And the state is putting the ones in by
Yes.
Airdeck and
Yes. I was trying to get to the one that probably everybody's gonna look at. So these are the top 10 rural segments that were listed as high crash network. So obviously the first one right there is County Road D from G to 170. They're saying how they came up with that cost of $47,600. That's in a different spreadsheet. That this is a very, very large document. Like I said, how they came up with that cost. So they might be shoulder widening, adding chevrons, comes up with that 47.6. Maybe adding rumble strips, stuff like that. But I guess these are what we as the county kind of want to emphasize first. If we're going to be redoing County Road D, we should emphasize what is in the safety plan to try to improve it. Is it potentially gonna add cost? Yes. There's no denying that. As you can see, some of this stuff here, I don't even know where Iron Brigade Memorial Highway is, but that's something I'll have to figure out where that is, but, obviously, County Road B, that was another concern, I-94 to Double B, well, we just redid that, so I don't know if we're gonna just start tearing it up and redoing it. But like I said, a lot of this was started in 23. So some of this data is prior to us fixing what we have out there now on B. But that's what I was just kind of,
Much safer, that is.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Turn lanes and everything, it's great.
But that, like I said, that's what I just want to kind of, I don't want you to take everything from this spreadsheet right here, but this is kind of lays out what we should have an emphasis on trying to correct or improve. If we are going to be doing whatever, County Road H from 85 to H, let's just see what they recommended to fix to improve safety on that. Like I said, it could be as simple as a sign.
So one dumb question that, Chevron, I've never heard that before. What exactly is it, Chevron?
So a chevron is basically these little placard signs that have like the little arrow. They kind of look like this
Reflective arrow on the yellow side.
Oh, okay.
around curves. They'll
I've
just,
never heard you use that before.
yeah. So that's just what they call a chevron.
Okay,
You'll see a lot of those, not necessarily a lot of those in Dunn County, but I do think we have to get to a point where we have to start looking at some of these installation. What we see a lot of in Dunn County is night arrows. So it's just your big arrow, like a 48 by 24. I think it is. So and they just kind of compiled if we were to do every known segment, curve, intersection, that we could improve safety on, there's 350 projects valued at almost $16 million.
Some of you did already.
I'm not saying that that's a goal. That's not something that may happen. Obviously, I'm not going to say, hey, I want $16 million next year so we can redo every one of these
Well,
segments.
like you said, a lot of that, you can pick and choose and do chevrons for 15 or $2,000 versus
Yep.
7.
Yep.
And if it's too much, it's like, well, we'll do this. You can always add it, but
Yep.
Definitely gives us a lot of information on where to start.
But we got a plan to put together.
Exactly. It helps our long-term planning. So we can put a 5-year plan together and say, hey, we're gonna
Look at these areas.
instead of this road, maybe we'll do this road. To emphasize the improving safety on it, versus a different road. I mean, it gives us a baseline. And it gives us a lot of information that we can provide for funding. Like I said, they show a lot of funding opportunities and whatnot, so. Like I said, I sent this to you guys. If you can't open up, sounds like Dan couldn't open it, so if he can't, then I'm sure you can.
I'm not.
So I don't know how I can get it to you. Dan will have to help me figure out how to get that to you, or somebody from IT. Okay. So,
so on somebody's plan, is there something like in state options to help us on that?
yes.
Or is it-
So, a highway safety improvement program just kicked off here this week. I received an email. So it gears more towards kind of like safety improvements of intersections. So let's pick on Double B and 25. We can't apply for it, but the state can. But if it's county to a county that we know is a major issue, we can apply for those funds, which are up to 90%. So,
So there's some possibilities.
Yep. Originally County Road H and E, if you're familiar, down by Springbrook and H and C, that was the highway safety improvement part of that program years ago. So,
All right. So we need a motion to adopt this, resolution for safety action plan.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion been made second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Right.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion passes. Next meeting is June 11th. Anything else? Okay, June 11th, same place, same time. Meeting's adjourned. Got time to spare.